Where does Mercedes go from here? Following a glimmer of hope from Lewis Hamilton's sprint podium, Mercedes appears to have returned to its all-too-familiar struggle. Despite starting in P8, George Russell couldn't secure a position higher than P6. Meanwhile, Lewis Hamilton, starting from P18, struggled to climb the ranks and settled for P9. Before, it was the seven-time champion who expressed frustration by reprimanding the team for underperformance. But this time, team boss Toto Wolff joins him in berating the team because of their challenges. In an interview with Service TV, Wolff admitted, "It's not easy when you have such a long dry spell, which is now in its third year for us. All the pillars that you need to perform are actually there in the analysis. The physics isn't right for us, something that we just don't really understand." The post-race grumbles have become a recurring theme. Every weekend, as the anticipation builds on the track, drivers and team principals exude confidence in their upcoming performance. Yet as the weekend plays out, reality diverges sharply from their optimism. The Chinese Grand Prix followed suit, with only the sprint qualifying and race injecting a twist into the usual narrative. While the spotlight shines on the frontrunners, rivals are quietly making significant strides in development. McLaren has firmly established itself as the third fastest team after Red Bull and Ferrari. Aston Martin, in contrast, is engaged in a spirited battle with the Silver Arrows for the coveted fourth fastest position, keeping the competition lively. Yet Lewis Hamilton shows no signs of allowing the Brackley engineers to rest easy. Even with his impending departure in the 2025 season, the British driver is determined to push his crew to excel. With each race weekend, Hamilton vocalizes his frustrations over the team radio. However, it seems his feedback is falling on deaf ears, as there is little improvement in the team's performance. 2024 feels like a déjà vu of the 2023 season for Mercedes. Just like after the first race of 2023, Lewis Hamilton has once again aired his grievances with the engineers. The British driver disclosed how his feedback was disregarded, resulting in a sluggish and challenging car to drive. Sensing a familiar pattern, Hamilton has made headlines by confirming his departure to Ferrari in 2025. Many can understand Lewis Hamilton's decision to make the switch. The seven-time champion will be hitting 40 when he starts racing for Ferrari, indicating a clear focus on chasing that record 8th World Championship. Waiting for such a milestone at Mercedes might have seemed like a lengthy endeavor, especially given the team's recent challenges and struggles. Lewis Hamilton's bond with the Silver Arrows runs deep, having clinched 6 of his 7 world titles with them. Despite his upcoming move to Ferrari, he has consistently expressed admiration for Mercedes and his dedication to lifting them from their current slump. Hamilton's commitment to performing at his peak remains unwavering, showcasing his enduring respect for the team that has been instrumental in his career success. Formula One's unpredictable nature was on full display during Lewis Hamilton's qualifying for the Chinese Grand Prix. Despite leading the sprint earlier in the day, the Mercedes driver found himself knocked out in Q1, highlighting the sport's dynamic of highs and lows akin to a game of snakes and ladders. Lewis Hamilton showcased an inspired performance during the wet sprint qualifying, securing a P2 start in the sprint race just behind McLaren's Lando Norris. Hamilton then took the lead for the first 8 laps of the 100-kilometer sprint before being overtaken by Max Verstappen, ultimately settling for a strong P2 finish. Following the flexibility to adjust their car setup before qualifying, expectations were high for Lewis Hamilton to maintain his momentum in a Saturday afternoon. But those hopes were dashed as Hamilton suffered an early exit in Q1 for the first time since the 2022 Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. A misjudged turn 14 proved to be the main culprit as Hamilton found himself starting from P18 on the grid. "I shoulda got through easy," Hamilton admitted. "It was my mistake. I just struggled, I think, to stop the car in turn 14. It just kept locking. Maybe I needed one more lap." When questioned about the tweaks made to the W15 after the sprint, Lewis Hamilton, who has clinched victory in Shanghai 6 times, said this: "The car is massively different. We changed a lot, but I'm hoping tomorrow's going to be a bit better. I hope it rains tomorrow now. The rain dance, I need everyone to do it." Following Lewis Hamilton's dramatic turn of events in China on Saturday, former F1 driver Robert Dornbos has labeled Mercedes' points deficit to Red Bull as embarrassing. Despite data from their simulation tools suggesting improved downforce after an extensive car overhaul during the winter, the expected lap time improvements have yet to materialize. This season, aside from Lewis Hamilton's P2 finish in the sprint race in China, where he trailed Max Verstappen, Mercedes has failed to secure a podium spot. Their best Grand Prix result has been P5, leaving them with 42 points and trailing championship leaders Red Bull by a significant 113-point margin, as highlighted by Dornbos during his interview with Ziggo Sport. It is embarrassing for Mercedes to have so few points now. Lewis Hamilton's qualifying mistake is estimated to have cost him 0.6 of a second, consequently placing the 7-time world champion in a disappointing 18th position on the starting grid. Dornbos added that, Hamilton went from hero to zero. He was second in the sprint race, and then you're 18th in qualifying for the race. His fellow pundit Olav Moll threw his 2 cents in, saying, the difference between Russell and Hamilton is far too big. They don't always score in pairs like Red Bull and McLaren. Hamilton blamed his qualifying struggles to setup changes, noting that Mercedes had experimented with a setup between the sprint race and qualifying sessions. This afternoon, we're trying to experiment still with the car, he said. I went one way, a long way, and he went the other way, just to see if we can find anything. That's what we need to do at the moment. But yeah, it didn't work. It wasn't too bad in some places, but I struggled. I couldn't get it to stop in 14, so it is what it is. Nico Rosberg thinks that the man he beat in equal machinery is just making excuses at this point. The former Mercedes teammate shared these thoughts with Sky Sports. For me, that's an excuse this year. He's on a great lap. He was a 10th faster than George at the moment when he braked too late. He's having a difficult phase at the moment. Rosberg is of the opinion that Lewis Hamilton's error in qualifying for the Chinese Grand Prix was seriously painful, saying that it could have been avoided, leading to Hamilton's Q1 exit. Wow, that is painful. That is seriously painful. In 18th position. Honestly, you know that the win is coming from the back there. He's had a great lap until then. It was really unnecessary to push the limit there so much. As a 7-time world champion, that's a mistake that probably should be avoidable. Saturday wasn't the first time Nico Rosberg spoke out about his former teammate. He criticized Lewis Hamilton's defensive tactics against Max Verstappen during the sprint race. As mentioned before, Hamilton initially led the opening laps of the 19-lap sprint, but made a crucial mistake at the hairpin, running wide and giving Verstappen an opportunity to close in on his rear wing. On the following lap, Max Verstappen, armed with DRS, swiftly overtook the Mercedes driver as Lewis Hamilton didn't make any effort to defend his position. Nico Rosberg made his disappointment with Hamilton's lack of defense during this critical moment known. Close the door, Lewis, then go aggressive. Just properly close it. Pity to just let him through so easily. George Russell, Lewis Hamilton's teammate, had a slightly better outcome, securing a P8 start on the grid for Sunday's Grand Prix. However, the red flag during Q2 due to Carlos Sainz's crash posed a hindrance for the Mercedes driver. The car was feeling okay out there, Russell said. I was a little bit unfortunate out there in Q2 with the red flag. Obviously, I didn't get my lap in at the beginning, and it was a really strong lap, and it would have meant I'd had 2 new sets of tires in Q3. It has a knock-on effect. It's not an excuse, it's just it could have been slightly different for us had we had the 2 new tires. Nevertheless, I think anything can happen tomorrow. We got a good reading in the sprint qualifying in the sprint race. We wanted to make some changes. Time will tell tomorrow if it's an improvement or not. I think the Ferraris are a little bit ahead of us. I think the fight is with McLaren and Fernando. What do you think? Are Lewis Hamilton's struggles due to weak machinery, or a lack of passion given his move to Ferrari next season? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe and ring that notification bell for the hottest F1 news.